Hello guys, and welcome back to Getting Started with LabVIEW community version, and today we will be looking into a simple concept called array. Just like any other programming language, array is a commonly used concept in LabVIEW, and today we will look into how we can actually use the available functions that we can manipulate and also use in array operations. First, we will look into how to create a simple array. You can actually simply create an array by creating a control on the front panel. You need to do is right click and go to the data container, and you can see there is a function or a container that shows array. You can place this on the front panel, and what you need to do is simply just drag the numeric control into the array control, and here you have already simply created an array of a numeric control. You can also do the same thing for boolean and string. You can just simply place the boolean control into the array, and you can actually have an array of boolean controls, and the same thing can also be done with string. The only thing that you need to bear in mind is that an array can only contain a single type of data and cannot be contained with other types of data. So for example, if you have an array of numeric control, you cannot simply mix it with a boolean or a string control. But it is possible to do so if you use a cluster, which we will cover in the next video session. So right now we have the arrays of strings, numeric controls, and also boolean. This is how you can actually create an array. You can also create an array in the block diagram by simply going into the functions palette, and there is an array constant here, and you can create a numeric value and place it here, and this is how you can create a numeric control. You can also create numeric constants on the block diagram by just simply right clicking and creating constant on a control, and this is how you create a constant array constant in the block diagram. So there's two ways to do it on front panel and block diagram. The next is you can look into how to create an array using an initialize function. There are some built-in functions available in LabVIEW, which are mostly found, which you can find in the block diagram. And if you go into here and look into the functions palette for array, you can see there is this initialize array. Initialize array can be used to create an array that contains a certain number of size with a known value. What I mean by this is that, let's say you have an array and you have a numeric value of 2. I put it here, and I need to wire this into the element and create a dimension size. So I'm going to creating a numeric array that has a size of 3. So let me put here 3, and if I create an indicator here and run it, what happens here is that you have an initialized array with a size of 3. So if I expand this, you can see that I have an array that has 3 times repeating inside. So you can see there is a size of 3, and if I can change the size to, for example, 4, I will have a 4 values of 2 inside this array. But if, let's say, if you want to create an array that has different values, you can use the build array function. So again, go to the array palette and press the build array, and if you want to have multiple inputs, you can actually simply just drag it as much as you want. But since here I have 2 values, so I only need 2, so I'll just wire it here and create an indicator, and let's expand this to see what is being appended into the array, and you will get a value of 2 and 3 being added together into one single array. So this is how you can use to build an array by having a known values or multiple values. Next is, how do I add an element or an array into an array? But in this case, I'll just use an element instead. I have a number here in the control 234, and I have a known array here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this value 234 into an array. So let's go into the array and see there is this function here called insert into array. So what I need to do is I need to wire this into an array, and the next is I have an index and element. So I just need to wire the element into here, and here we have an index, By default, if you do not wire anything or do not place a value into this index, it will just simply append to the last index. So I'm just going to leave it empty first, and let's create an indicator. So I have an output array here, and if I press run, you will see that the value 234 being appended below value of 4. If let's say if I choose to put it an index of 0, for example, so you're going to see that 234 is going to be above 2. It's going to be above 2. So this is how you can actually add elements into array, and it's quite useful when you know the position of the index that you want to add. The next is, how do I delete an element from an array? The same thing here, you can use the delete from array functions. So again, wire the array into the function, and next is you can see this position index here. Again, if you do not wire this or you do not put in any value into the index, it's just simply going to remove the first index. So let's run, before that, let's create an indicator of what will be the output after the array, the index has been deleted, and next is what is the deleted portion. So let's put this guy here, and the deleted portion is just a single element in this case. So you will see that the deleted portion will have a value of 2, and what is the array is going to be is 3, and or it simply just deleted the last value instead. My mistake, it deleted the last position. So if let's say if I put in here index 0, then it should delete number 2. Yes, it is. So this is how you can actually delete elements from an array. You can also delete an array from an array, but of course you can try that. The next is how to get an array size. This is an example of a 1D array and a 2D array, and there is a function here called index array size, and let's place it here. And if you want to make a copy of another function, really quick one, all you need to do is just press Control and left click, drag and let go. So this is how you create a very quick copy of a function. So let's wire this into the array, and as expected you should get a single value here for 1D array, and for 2D array you will get an indicator of an array. And this actually simply represents the value of rows and columns in the 2D array. So if we run this, what you're going to get is the size of a 1D array is actually 3, and the size of a 2D array is actually 2 rows and 3 columns. This is how you read the values here, rows and column. So this is how you can actually see it. So this is a very commonly used functions involving arrays in LabVIEW. And please feel free to try all the functions available here in LabVIEW to get a better understanding on how this array operation works. And if you have any questions relating to arrays, please feel free to put into the comments, and I will actually make a video to explain how to use this in LabVIEW.